Alright, so today on the Workbench I have a first act guitar. You can see it's just a single humbucker. Obviously these are entry-level guitars that I believe were marketed through Walmart. Let's see. We're looking at Fender scale of 25.5 inches. And the first thing I'll do is check and make sure the truss rod is working. So, get my little tool kit out. This is a nice little tool kit from StewMac. It's got all the little attachments you need. Phillips, regular, and then your Allen ones too. Just very handy to have when you're just working on your guitars. So let's get this taken off. So the method I learned for taking care of basic guitar setup is the train method, which is tuning, relief, action, and then intonation, and then noodle. Meaning play the guitar and see how it plays. So now I got the truss rod off. See, they scribbled out the model and they also scribbled out the first act because probably they're embarrassed by the brand name, which, who cares? It's a beginner guitar. It's something to learn on. People make too much of a big deal about brand names when really you need a guitar that you can play. As long as it does that, then you can learn on it and play it. Alright. That was a little sticky, but it does move. There we go. Now let's see how flat we are. Yeah, there's a little bit of relief in there. Alright, next time I'm going to take off the strings, flatten the neck a little bit, and then check all the frets and see if we have any high spots. And this is a top loader bridge, so there's no string holes going through the body. It just goes in through the bridge there. Definitely the lowest cost type of bridge. And as you can see, they've scribbled out the first act logo on the headstock. I don't know if I can make that look any better, but I don't think I'll be going into that much detail on a guitar of this price point. Really, the goal is just to make it a playable guitar for someone who wants to learn how to play at a low cost and pass it on to somebody so that they can learn how to play. Yeah, without the strings on, it's pretty flat as it is, so I don't think I need to adjust that. Alright, so I'll just take my fret rocker and then a marker, and then I'll mark when I find a high spot. And really, you could just, you know, get your bar out and go to town and just level them all, but if you only have 1 or 2 frets, then it's better to use a tool like the fret kisser and just do the handful of frets that need it and not take off a bunch of material on the frets, because you want to preserve as much of the fret material as you can and the fret height. And you're just looking at these, they haven't been played. I mean, a lot of these beginner guitars, the frets are fine because somebody buys it for someone to learn on, and then they set it in the corner and they never play it. So there's usually no play wear on the frets of a you know, these budget guitars like this. And you do find, you know, a couple frets high here and there, and really just dress it out, string it back up, and you have a good, well playing guitar for somebody to learn on. All right, so let's start checking. See, that one's rocking just a little bit in the middle. Out here it's not rocking, but it's rocking in the middle there on the 4th fret. So I'll just mark where it was a little bit high, and then I'll go back after I get done checking all of them and start fixing them. This one's high a little bit on the outside, but that's so far on the edge that I'm not going to bother with that one. That's alright. There, 13th. A little bit high out there on the outs. Right there. So that'll be about where the first string's going to be hitting it anyway. So it's just on that outer edge there. See, it's a little bit of a rock. And here we got a little bit on this side of the 14th fret. Just a little bit right there on the 18th. Yeah, it's all the way to the middle. It's a little bit high all the way across. Over here it's okay. And most of the time it isn't as much of an issue up on these higher strings because your string height is raising as you get to this point, but it still could buzz a little bit. So if you see, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 high spots. So when you only have 4 high spots, really going right to the bar and dressing them all down isn't really, it's not worth the time, especially on a guitar like this, where the goal is to just make it playable. This is a guitar that isn't a client, it's just something I'm buying to fix up and to sell. So if somebody wanted a complete, well, even if that's what they wanted, I would say, hey, look, we only have these problems right here. I would only address these, and I wouldn't file all the frets down to try to fix these individual spots. So what I'll do next is I'll just go at it with the fret kisser, and then after I do that, I will recrown all of them. But as far as taking height off, it will just be on these particular spots. See, the magic marker's all gone. Come up here. I do find when it's very, very slight that the tolerance on the fret kisser isn't quite good enough to get it. So sometimes you just have to turn it and take some off and then keep checking, and not just relying on this to tell you whether it's level or not. See, now it's flat. Still a little bit of rock there, so I can take a little bit more off on the outside edge. And you only want to take off just a little bit at a time, because you don't want to make it too low, then you're going to create more problems higher up. And then you'll have a low fret. You don't want that either. Little teeny tiny rock still. Out here it's okay. So take just a little bit more off. But what that tells me is if it's too slight of a high fret that this willa won't quite take it all off, then it was probably so minor that it's not really going to affect playability anyway. But I still go ahead and get it to where the rock is taken completely out. Alright, on this one, you kind of just barely touching it there. You can see taking just a little bit off there where it was high. And I'll check it with this. So it just has a little tiny rock, so I'll take a little bit off without using the frets as a guide. Just a tiny amount until I get feedback on here that it's no longer rocking. So a little bit high. There we go. Just a little bit more up here on this one. Yep. Good. Still a little high. There. All right, so these look to me to be medium jumbo. So I'll take the diamond bagger that I got from Fret Guru. It has, you know, medium, large, large, extra large, so I would use this one to recrown all the frets. All right, and once I've recrowned them, then I will tape off the fretboard and polish all the frets. All right, and then I have this polishing cloth in different grades. I'm not sure what they are. I'll have to look it up, and then maybe I'll post it on the screen there. But I'll put a link to these in the description. So just starts coarse and gets finer by the color. Actually, this is kind of worn out. I think I'm gonna go get some fresh ones. All right, so these are Zona 3M wet or dry micron graded polishing paper, 6 pieces. Goes from 600 grit to 1 micron. So the 600 grit will take off a lot of any of the tarnish, and then really the rest of them on the way down just polishes it up more and more. So we'll start with the 600. All right, so next I'll take all that tape off, clean the fretboard, clean up the guitar, and then get a new set of strings on here. So there's 2 reasons I go over the fretboard like this. One is get all that dirt that's there close to the frets, and then the other is to get rid of all the excess fingerboard remedy that would get under the frets and kind of get into that wood and make it soft and could make your frets pull up over time. So I always make sure to go in there and get as much of that out of there as I can. At the same time, I'm getting the dirt away from the edge of the frets. there's the fretboard after conditioning it. All right, time to clean up the body. Oops, a little bit too much. I use Pro Strength Guitar Polish by Music Nomad. This will also take light scratches out of your top coat. So if you have, the other thing, it can take tarnish off of chrome, like the chrome plating on, say, Gibson pickups that tarnishes. This can take a lot of that off of there. Good stuff. I got way too much over there. So I'll do one cleaning when I have all the strings off, and then once I restring it, I'll clean the guitar again, because I typically have to handle it quite a bit, you know, with tuning and setting action, setting intonation, all that kind of stuff. So I'll get the bulk of it off, but it usually needs another cleaning after I get the strings back on and make adjustments as needed. Yeah, a lot of these entry-level guitars, they just need a little bit of TLC. You know, clean them up, put new strings on them, just do a basic setup on them, and they're good to go for somebody to play and enjoy and learn on. Yeah, it has some dings on it, some minor scuffs in the paint, but all those things really aren't that important. As long as the mechanical things work and the electronics work, it's a guitar that you can use and learn on. Or just have around to play. Alright, that's pretty good. Next, I just need to get a fresh set of strings on here. Alright, so I got a set of Ernie Ball, regular slinky. For hardtails, I usually use 10 to 46, and anything with trem, I'll use 9 to 42. That's just my personal preference. Some people like heavier strings than that. Some people like lighter strings. But I do like a little lighter on a guitar with a tremolo, since when you bend the tremolo up, you need to continue to bend the string up a little bit more to bring it to pitch, so it takes a little bit more force. Not a lot, just a little. Get these strings on. And for these top-loading bridges, what you want to do is just put a little bend in the very end of your string when you put it through. That way it kind of threads up into the saddle, like that. Otherwise it just wants to go underneath and you can't get it. Alright, well my camera died, so I did a couple things off camera. So I just went up and I stretched out the strings and I lowered the action. String height was about, I would say, 2.75 on the bass and about 2.25 on the treble. Now I have it at about 2 and maybe 1.9 on the treble. So now it plays pretty nice. That's usually how I set up all my guitars. That's kind of how I do any setup on a guitar, is basically make sure it would be something that I would want to play. Some people like lower action, some people like higher action. Just for a reference, 2.5 on the bass and 2 on the treble is what Ibanez sets up their Prestige models at. So I think a lot of people have funny ideas about action and what is good action. The truth of the matter is string height and action is largely a matter of opinion. Some people like it higher than 2.5. Some people will have 3 and 2.5 on the treble. So take that as you will. And the last thing I usually do is I just I'll check once I have the action set up and I've adjusted everything. I'll check, make sure I don't have any string buzz. It's kind of awkward to play it like this. Whoops. Yeah. So, oops. Well, I've added another ding to the guitar. No, I don't think I really dinged it up. So really, what do I have left to do? I'll probably have to polish it one more time. Oh yeah. The electronics. These were a little bit scratchy, so I'll always go in and spray the pots with some deoxit. So it was a little bit scratchy. A lot of the scratchiness goes away once you use these because it's really some dust that builds up in there. But I go ahead and spray a little bit in there anyway, just to make sure they get cleaned and stay clean. So I'm going to take these off here. Straw. And with this stuff, it doesn't take a lot. You just one spray and then just rotate it around a few times, and that's enough to lubricate it. So you just go on the side where it's opened. There's a little, you can see it's on the where the tabs are. Just one little spray like that on each one. See if I can get that in there. There we go. And that's plenty. Most of the time. You might get an extra dirty pot and you might need to do it once or twice more, but usually just one spray is enough. And then just spin your knobs a couple times, get it all the way to each end. And it'll help them turn a little bit smoother as well, in addition to getting rid of any scratchiness in the pots. There we go. There we go. That's back together. And this pickup looks a little bit low to me, so I'm going to raise that up just a little bit closer to the strings on the bass side. There we go. And let's check the truss rod height. Yeah, that's about right where I would like it. Just a little bit of travel. Could be a little bit high. Let's go ahead and get some feelers on there. See what we're working with. Well, it is a little bit high, so I'm going to tighten that up just a little bit. It's over 10 thousandths, so. Yeah, so it pushes it up a little bit at 10, so I think we're probably down around 8 at this point. Yep, just about 8 thousandths. Cool. Alright, so I just need to put the truss rod cover back on. And then there were some little things, like the strap buttons are a little loose. I'll always check those and tighten, snug them up so they don't wobble around if somebody puts a strap on there. There we go. See, that was a little bit loose as well. All right, well, that's about it for the, this is a first act ME5008. So that's about it. All set up, ready to play, ready for somebody to enjoy it. All the electronics work. But yeah, that's what I do with these budget guitars. I like to fix them up, make them playable. This will be available in my reverb shop. You can check the link down below. If you have any questions or comments, just plop them down in the comment section and I'll do my best to answer them. And I thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.